My guest today is the man when it comes to proxy design and corporate communications. Iain Poole is one of the first to enter the proxy design profession over a decade and a half ago. He saw something that few of us did. He's a managing director for Argyle, a shop that specializes in proxy design, with many former in-house lawyers on his team. I've known Iain a long time. We worked together 20 years ago at R.R. Donnelley, and he really knows his stuff, as you'll soon see. Not only that, he's a great friend, a thoughtful person, and has a broad worldview due to his international background and experience. I'm Brock Romanek today on Zippy. So Iain, how are companies using their proxy to show how they're performing, particularly their financial metrics?
I think that is a really good question because today performance means so much more than financial performance, doesn't it? We've talked about extra financial performance, returns for a broader group of stakeholders. There was the Business Roundtable statement on the purpose of a corporation. So when we really drill down on company performance, I think that the question that we hear the most is, what should I be presenting and where? Because there are two different kinds of performance. There's the broad business performance, operational achievements, returns for shareholders. And in some cases, there are metrics and performance measures that are tied to the executive compensation program that can be different from this broader range of financial achievements. So what we propose as a general rule is that overall business and operational and company performance be presented at the very beginning of the document, ideally with an overview of the company and what it does, and that those performance metrics that are specifically tied to the compensation program be presented up at the beginning of the CD&A, ideally with an explanation as to why these metrics are chosen and relevant for the company's comp program.
This is a letter to shareholders from Cognizant.
Yeah. So Cognizant's proxy statement is one that's absolutely terrific. Harry Demas and the team over there in 3 short years, I believe, has turned this sort of financial print, a very traditional looking document, into something that's thoroughly readable with spreads presented throughout and a real annual report feel that invites the document to be read. So the company has done away with the proxy summary as we would know it, that creates some repetition. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on. And rather, they begin the document with this very brief letter from the chairman of the company, and then they dive straight into Cognizant, I believe, on the following. That's it. So right at the beginning, we learn about Cognizant and some of these key themes that investors are looking for from companies nowadays. So who the company is, what the company does, the company's purpose, and the company's vision. And then Harry and the team at Cognizant have gone into this value creation chain, the value that we create. So these are high-level performance metrics. So the company's revenue, diluted EPS, operating margin, and cash flow, and then what the company does with its capital. So capital deployment in terms of capital return, but also acquisitions, which is something that we would often see in the context of an annual report and investment in R&D and acquisitions that is rarer in a proxy statement. So in just one full page, you get a pretty full overview into the company, what the company does, uses of capital, and its capital allocation strategy. Then if we dive into the CD&A a little bit further on, so Harry and the team challenged us with creating what we would call these waterfall graphics that are specifically designed to highlight the performance of each of the long-term and short-term compensation program against performance measures. So the first is revenue, and you can see the minimum target and maximum range for each program. And you can also see the stretch from one year to the next, which I think is important. You get this 3-year overview, which obviously most companies would do for a long-term compensation program. It's rarer that you would see that for the annual program, and it enables us to see that the goals are being stretched from one year to the next. So that would be revenue. Then we have the Tsr Return Chart. At the very beginning of this section, the company highlights that there's zero payout so far on on the long-term metric, and the graphic goes to highlight that. And on the following page, there are further metrics, again with this waterfall chart that shows the evolution of the goal from one year to the next. So it does a really good job in 2 pages of presenting the company's short-term and long-term performance metrics, the company's performance, as well as the mix across those various metrics.
Talk about Starbucks.
And Starbucks takes a similar approach. So up at the front of the document, they have a short and punchy proxy summary, a message from the chairman and the lead independent director that explains what the company has been doing in the course of the year, what the business is, where it has a footprint, the company's strategy, and then these very high-level metrics with a real focus in the proxy summary on business achievements and then returns for shareholders. So it's sort of a 1-page presentation just above the board that gives the reader an impression of how the company performed in its past financial year. And then at the very beginning of the CDNA, in the simplest possible terms, the company lists those metrics that are tied to the incentive plans, and there are 4. So net revenue, operating income, earning per share, and total shareholder return, so that we can see that there's no overlap between them. And then in the following pages, it goes into some detail about the goals and the outcomes. So this page does a really good job of setting the stage for the CDNA. And again, there's a clear distinction between the overall business achievements at the beginning of the document and those metrics that are specifically tied to the comp program at the beginning of the CDNA.
And Starbucks is staying true to its colors here with green and white.
They are, and I believe that each director highlights their favorite drink in the bios. That adds a little bit of color there as well.
Oh, nice. Thank you very much, Iain.